Tania Rain is a Lake Oswego resident. She recently became a certified ombudsman for Oregon's long-term care. She is a volunteer at the American Heart Association and Habitat for Humanity. On September 21st, Tania will go before the Oregon Senate Rules Committee to be confirmed as a public member for the Board of Licensed Social Workers. Her goal in life is to serve her community. Her speech is entitled, "The Art of Conscientiousness." Ladies and gentlemen, Tania Rain, everybody.
Conscientiousness. Now that's a pretty big word. Not the longest in the dictionary, but I do believe that it's one of the most difficult to understand. In fact, its definition is very vague. It means to be painstaking and careful. Conscientiousness is a personality trait. In fact, a recent study using MRIs shows that people with higher levels of conscientiousness have larger lateral prefrontal cortexes. The idea of conscientiousness is one that I'm working to get my head around. I'm going to share with you some stories this evening that will illustrate conscientiousness. Imagine that you know your neighbors, that you really know your neighbors. I'm sure each of you know something about your neighbors. Like Mike to the north of you. He owns a riding mower, he's retired, he even has a motorboat, but he's never hitched it up to the back of his truck. Sue, she's to the south. She travels a lot. She's in her 50s or 60s, but you don't know if she travels for work or for pleasure. Mr. Immaculate Lawn Guy, he lives behind you. He is a fanatic when it comes to mowing his lawn and watering it. He's out there every day mowing and watering. And then there's another Sue who lives across the street. She has 2 teenage daughters. Sue's in her 40s and she looks like Raquel Welch. She enjoys mowing her lawn every week wearing her bikini. And the neighbors enjoy watching her. Now think about your neighbors. Do you know much more than what you've observed in passing or those quick conversations that you've had at the mailbox? What if Mr. Immaculate's lawn turned brown and you hadn't seen his car in the driveway for a couple weeks? Would you go knock on the door? Or if Mike all of a sudden did hitch his motorboat up to the back of his truck, would you go over and ask, hey, what lake or river are you going to? If you hadn't seen Sue in her bikini for a few weeks, would you go over and offer to mow her lawn for her, to lend her your mower? I'm sure my husband would. And if Sue next door, if you saw a moving van out in front of her house, and some people moving a 32-inch TV out into the moving van, would you just assume that she bought a new 52-inch flat screen? Or maybe she was moving. Would you go next door and ask her? Or would you just assume she's out of town? But why are these people moving her TV into their unmarked van? If your neighbor's house was on fire in the middle of the night, I know that you would go over and help them rescue their pets. You may even offer them a place to stay. Now, I'm not here to lecture you about what being a good neighbor is. What I'm trying to do is open up your mind to what you observe in your surroundings around you and how you react to your observations. Have you ever noticed somebody at work or at the store who's been having a bad day? Maybe they're tearful, or maybe they're slamming things around. Did you go up and ask them what was wrong? Or maybe you were a little bit extra kind to them at that moment. The other day when I was in the plaid pantry buying a pack of gum, the cashier was relatively in a bad mood. He handed my gum, he set it down real hard, and I said, oh, has it been a long day? And he said, no, I just got here. Well, I figured this is going to be a long day for this guy. So I said, well, I bet you'd rather be by the pool, maybe a pool in Las Vegas or Hawaii. And he said, yeah, that would be great. And he relaxed. We had a conversation for a few moments about the weather. I smiled, told him have a nice day, and left. I left him with the image of relaxation and freedom instead of being locked behind that counter for the next 8 hours. Conscientiousness is being aware of the people around you, anticipating their moods and reactions. It is like defensive driving. How many times did you know that that person was going to move out in front of you? Yesterday when I was at the grocery store, just about to walk out the door, I noticed a lady on crutches. She was rearranging her reusable bags. Now, I was already out the door. My mind was in the car driving home thinking about what I was preparing for dinner. But I decided to walk back in and take a look at this woman on the crutches to see if she was having trouble walking. I went up to her and I said, "Do you need help with your grocery shopping?" She said yes. Although I was in a hurry, I went up and I asked the bagger to please help her with her shopping. Well, I didn't exactly ask him. I told him he was going to help her with her shopping. But that was me stepping in, trying to be helpful for somebody. In other circumstances, I have been in crowds of hundreds of people and have seen children lost. And I was the only one to walk up and ask them if they needed help finding their parents. Once was at the Pirate Festival up in St. John's, and once was just a few weeks ago at a concert in the park. This poor child was just wandering around crying and nobody even noticed. Now I believe the level of one's conscientiousness can grow with age. It takes opening your eyes and becoming aware, but most importantly, it takes being willing. We no longer live in small villages where we know all of our neighbors and we're willing to help them on a daily basis. I suggest that we all take a look at our willingness to help and make an effort to help as often as we can. You can visit my blog about conscientiousness at conscientiousness.wordpress.com.